Today we're going to be looking at short day session fishing in the colder months. So we are going literally from late winter, and I think we're on the brisk cusp of spring, and it can be a really tough time of year. That's why choosing the right venue is critical. There's frost on the ground. It's as you can see, quite a nice winter's day, as nice as you'll ever get. But you still got to make certain decisions. Now the next thing is actually choosing the right venue. So when you get in the realms of February into March, that type of thing, you've got to remember light levels are changing. That thing in the sky and the increased light level changes everything. Fish are starting to move around based on light levels, not just water temperature. They're looking, they're roaming around. So they will also react to the slightest change in water temperature. The sun comes out, they're coming up in that water column. They've not had sunshine for a long time, so getting a little bit of it will make a lot of difference to them. That is why this particular lake, for example, I know is on average 4 to 6 feet deep. That is perfect, okay? Because I know even if the fish off the bottom, they're never far from your rigs on the bottom. And also, yeah, you're always quite close to them. If you're fishing a really deep lake, you've got problems unless you've got zigs on, you know. And sometimes there's people fishing lakes in the spring that are 20 foot, 30 foot deep, and they're fishing on the bottom, and that is giving you the least amount of chance of action because you are so far from where the fish are going to spend the bulk of their time, which is in that sort of top third of the water column, okay? And that top third is like 6 foot, okay, on a lot of lakes, and that's what they like. It warms up, they'll be coming up, they'll, you know, we like, they're sun worshippers, and temperature makes a huge difference. So when it comes to location, that is critical, and venue choice. So look, you got your island there, you've got an island there, you've got another one at the back. There's pads, I know, that come up all around here. So there's lots of opportunity here. So this is a good central zone. I know with the way the sun moves today, right, if no anglers are on, then fish are going to be moving around quite a lot. They're going to be very active, even though I might not even see a sign of one. It's a shallow lake. They might not show. But here, I feel like I've got one island, another island, and the open water in behind, and that's going to give me plenty of options. So this feels like with the sun as it swings around, I'm going to get opportunity. You know, as it comes up, this area is going to get the most amount of sunshine. So think about that. Where is that sun going to shine? Am I in that area? That area of water could be just that little ½ degree more today, and that could be that little honey zone of something happening. We will see. Excuse the sea of carnage. So that's the magic wanding line, okay, and that is the hook bait of choice. If I show you there, really good short session methods, but to be honest with you, nothing really changes whether I fish long sessions or short sessions. That is an ice cream mini pop-up, that is an ice cream cured bottom bait, so it's a mini little snowman. And yeah, that's the sort of methods that, putting all that inside a solid bag, you can pretty much be certain whether you're putting it out for a long session or a short session, they are going to work anywhere. So one of the myths are, do I change much? Well, I always fish like life depends on it, short sessions or long sessions. So no, not a lot really changes. Just to give you a look here, look, this is the magic wanding line. So it's set there, okay? And I'll be loading that into a solid bag. And this one, so I've got 2 rods with that same snowman setup, and this one is a yellow ice cream pop-up. And that will all be going inside of a solid bag. So the 3 rods I'm putting out today for short session fishing is a solid bag. And the only little difference to what most of you will ever do with a solid bag is I will wrap a bit of paste around the lead. This is jaw paste, which is in the OMC bait range. And that just means when it goes in the bag itself, if it gets disturbed by roach and my solid bag gets hindered, when I say hindered, I mean just sort of messed about with, moved, and the bait dissipates, that bit of paste around the lead will mean I've always got a bit of bait singing for me near that pop-up. So it'd be sort of like sitting like that in a ball of pellets on the bottom, and that paste as well will be there. So that really is absolute short session tactics on overdrive. There we go, there is that yellow pop-up. Now inside a fade solid bag with the paste wrapped around the lead, yellow ice cream pop-up, stick and bag mix, both piler and ice cream, and some micro pellets as well, lick and sticked. That will be pretty much, apart from the hook bait variation, going out on every rod. There you go. Always have that one hole at the bottom. So the tightness, obviously when you're casting them out a long way, you know, you need that solid bag really tight, because you want to, you know, you want it to be compressed through the air. You don't want a saggy old bag. If you're putting them out in a boat, it doesn't matter as much, but good practice, good manners is always to do the best you can each time. So I always do make my bags, look, I even do the corners in, even if they're going out in a bait boat, as if I'm casting. So you're just licking and sticking them in. That's what creates the aerodynamic. So if you're those anglers saying, why do they put the corners in, and you're new to fishing? Well, that's to help it fly through the air, but also it gets the bag nice and tight. And yeah, the hook bait's in there, everything's in there, and that is it, plus the paste. So we've got a lot going on. 3 of them ready to go. Right, we're going to actually put the rods out. Right, so this is mix left over from Fishing Maniacs in France back in January. So this is literally a month and a half old. I keep it in the bucket because it's got the gravy and the nutty sauce just added to it. It just gives it a jazz up. But that is OMCFC ground bait, all the OMC pellets, piler and ice cream, 10 millers, chops, the whole shenanigans. So a right old little mix, and I'm literally going to put that probably about this much along with the bag, and then I'm going to use a couple of other little methods to ring the dinner bell. 1 scoop, solid bag, and if I wasn't using the boat, you could basically put that solid bag out and just catapult a pouch load of 10 millers around it, or just put the solid bag out. They are short session tactics. You are trying to get, these carp are roaming around now this time of year. So remember, even if you're not on them, I have seen underwater footage at the Avenue when it was like 3 degrees of water and them fish would be moving about. You'll see them on one camera, and then 10 minutes later they'll be at the other end on another camera. So just getting your rigs well presented in good areas, making sure they are optimised, fully attractive when fish come past. Always bear that in mind. 1.6 metres, so in your money, that's about 4 and a bit feet. So I'm literally going to see where it starts shelving up. 1.6, drop in there, drop the bait. So you see that 1.6 metres, that was where that flat shelf was, and I've dropped it. So I'm obviously the boat's coming back to me, but I know I'm pretty much lined up with that tree. Again, it's going to be similar depths, so you've got to imagine you're kind of fishing for areas and interception points on short sessions. You're just trying to nick a bite. Right, sinking of your lines, okay? Important little one for you. Use your fingers, yeah? Never wind with the reel. Look how loose I have it, especially with solid bags, because if there's, they have air in them. Once they sink down, even though you've got the lead and everything inside, if you try to pull them tight, you'll drag them out. So very gingerly, and this is braid as well, so you've got to remember braid's got no stretch in it at all. So anything I do at this end is going to directly register at the lead end. So be very careful when you're trying to get when you're trying to straighten up to the lead, okay? And then once I feel like I have just straightened up, I haven't got a sort of bow going out, I will, especially with the braid, this is braid, most of you will be using mono, same principle. I then pay off a nice bit and just have a look there, look at it from the tips. I let it drape off and sink down of its own accord. Just slowly let it sink down. These sort of heavy sinking braids really do sink fast and drill themselves to the bottom, a bit like fluorocarbon does. I'm gonna go tip of that, pretty much there's a coot where I'm gonna put this rod. I always like it when there's coots about. People laugh, but bird life in the colder months is always a sign, even on a little lake, that there's fish about or someone's had bait out there. Either way, I like it. The amount of times I've seen like birds about, there's like a flock of coots or whatever on the surface, and then boom, a carp comes out, jumping out in amongst them when not a lot else is happening. Right there, right on that sort of peninsula of the island, kind of the decision-making process. People might think they've got to do loads different on a short session, but as I say, the way I fish, short session or long session is the same. I've always got those high attract hook baits on. Everything, it's a bit like my personality. Everything about the way I fish, the way I mix my bait, is trying to get the party started as quickly as possible, trying to get fish interested as quickly as possible. And yeah, that's kind of the way you want to approach it. I would, if I was like fishing now and I had that solid bag out and I just had a match the hatch bottom bait out the bag, you got to think if they only come in and eat one bait or two baits of your mix, you want your hook bait to be the best thing out there. And obviously the lead also is one of the best things out there because it's just that paste, loads of attraction. That's good short session advice for you. And you'll see Ian Russell do it, loads of our team, loads of good anglers, they'll all do the same thing, you know. Like Ian is currently having the absolute winter from the gods, you know, and he's fishing it similar, I mean, different in a way. I'm using that sort of crummy mixture, but mine's pilot, ice cream, worm saw. He's using ice cream, crumb, boilie, corn. He loves it, and then he's fishing his fluoro ice creams over the top on his spinner rigs. And again, he's always, even on tough lakes or syndicates, fishing like he's only there for an hour. Yeah, you're getting the rhythm, you're getting the theme, and he's fishing week in, week out. But wherever he goes, whether he's going to linear or he's going to a tough syndicate, he's fishing in a similar way. Of course, he adjusts how he feeds or the regularity, the amounts, but the mentality, that's the thing, is similar. So even how I set my small lake, like that line nice and slack. Look at those little OMCFC alarms, with the snag ears. Ah, they are beautiful little things. You can change the LED colours, you've got sensitivity, volume, tone, the whole shenanigans. They're actually going to be an incredible little bit of value for money. Sorry for the little plug in there, but I couldn't resist. What video would be complete without a gratuitous Hamidi plug? Right, this is one that you can apply to all of it, because it's always like, how do I catch the biggest fish? I'm only short of time. Again, you know, you've got to pick those venues. So when people come up to me at the shows and are like, I want to catch a 30 pounder, you know, I've caught only 20s. I'm like, well, do you fish a lake with them in? So you can only catch what's in front of you. So if you're a good short session angler, I can promise you, if you apply those tactics to any venue, if they're still carp, the tactics you're using will work venue to venue, time after time. The carp are really simple creatures in that sense. That's why a lot of the old wives' tales of this and that, of, you know, having to scale down in the winter, it really, you know, it is utter baloney. Honestly, if you become good at short session fishing, you can translate that to any venue, long stay, short stay, and you'll be a better angler for it. Another short session top tip: you don't have to do a lot of it, you don't have to put a lot of bait out at all, but making noise, especially on small waters, just a little bit of noise of bait going in. So I like to do it with the 10 millers. So both the piler, ice cream and a piler, and handy little catapult, and literally all you're trying to do is create a tiny bit of noise. So just to give you an idea, look, it's like, that's probably 10 millers in ice cream. That looks like a 6 piler. In a pouch they go, and then very simply, you know the drill, in the general direction of where I'm fishing, I've got the wind the right way, so it'll help them, and that's it, just a sound. And I tend to do that on all of the rods, yeah. Rods have been out about an hour and a half now, so just a little bit of sound on all 3 areas, right? Just so the carp, if there is any carp around, go, what was that sound? You've got to remember, these fish are all pellet, you know, pellet reared. They're all used to the sound of pellets going in, a few boilies going in, that sound, that on the surface. You're not trying to feed them, you're trying to catch them. But it is a top tip, short sessions, just put that little drizzle in and then sit back in your chair, go back on your phone, do your scrolling, whatever you've got to do. Little bit of bait, little bit of sound, honestly, makes such a huge difference. I've seen it time and time again when we've been doing the underwater filming. Just a little drizzle and there might have been no fish on the underwater camera, and honestly it is like a complete change of tune. Just a handful of pellets, some chopped boilies, and then fish are instantly back in and having a look, and that goes from a fishless swim to a swim with chances. The mindset of a short session angler. Now, I can't say I am one because I love it, but I am completely unprepared. So if I look at the methods I've used today, like solid bags. Now, if you're going to go and do it and optimize it to its maximum, you would have loads of them ready tied. Now, with the Magic Wand inline system, I'm still like in the final samples. I don't have loads of them to have loads of solid bags tied. But if you were to maximise your session with solid bags, that is something that you would do. Good anglers will have loads of bags tied, and they'll be able to deploy them if they're going to a busy venue. Obviously, I know here I'm fishing for sort of 90 to 100 carp. They're going to be big carp. I'm not going to be casting loads. The rods are going to go out as they have, and then I'm sitting and waiting for an opportunity that might come. And on these sunny days in the cold going into the spring, I really do feel like the daylight hours now, they're a big opportunity, and up to the cusp of, you know, as the light starts to fade, because that water is warming up. Bait, so short session bait. Now that is very much venue dependent. The great thing with our OMC bait range is, with the boilies being super high level but also stabilised, I can always keep them in the van. Pellets, obviously we all know keep. Ground baits we know keep well, as long as they've not got water and bacteria mixed in with them. And then things like worms as well. So if you go into places where you use worms, the great thing with worms compared to say casters and maggots is you get a bag from say Willys or one of the other worm suppliers like dendrobinas, not lobworms, dendrobinas. They will keep for ages. As long as you keep them in that sort of cool, leave them on the garage floor, in the soil, move them about a bit, you could get a kilo of dendrobinas and they will last you ages. Oh, I thought that was a carp jumping. No, it's geese diving. It is pretty nippy. It's 3:15, so when we talk about short sessions, this is exactly it. I'm going to give it another 15 or so minutes and then we will have to revisit this junction again in the future. But 1 week later, on a different water, same hook bait, solid bag. Look at this weather. You've got to capitalise another short day session. Actually, I'll probably lob it. I'll do a little lob. It's a bit too far from an underarm. We'll do a little lob. Oh, donk. Then we're going to lay that there. Do my best throwing ever. Oh, that's really bad. That's better. Still don't think I'll be making the Olympics. They were really bad, them ones. Why didn't I get my catapult? Is it short session? My catapult is just up there as well. Anyway, we're doing it just for the noise, remember? A little winter oasis, as I call it. When short of time, things to test, I always end up here. There's actually, this lake's only got about 30 carp in it. Only gets fished by a handful of people. I'm one of the lucky few. They're very spooky, but you can sometimes get an early bite, and there's one fish in here that could do 40, so I'd like to catch it. We'll go towards that bank. It's a little spot I know well. Yes, nice drop, nice depth. So as opposed to earlier on another lake where I was dropping in with a bait boat so that I knew they had a bit of bait, this one we're using something called a catapult. Very strange, but yeah. Anyway, it's used for flinging bait around. We are gonna look bang on. Oh, nearly bang on. It's amazing how far away that is. It always looks closer, but especially when you're just the sound again. Sound. Here we go again. Solid bag. I'm just going to take this down the margins, as my mate Nick Warner likes to call them, margin browsers. So down here, you still see me? Yeah, you can, can't you? See this little peninsula? Literally gonna go like this. Bottom of the shelf. You can't beat one down the edge, even if it's in the ledge. 3 rods in the drink. Oh, it's one of the small ones, I think. Ratty little bite. It head shakes, moved a lot of silt. Look at that fresh haircut. Got the AirPods in making work calls. It's got bigger though now, suddenly. It's got bigger. Sometimes that happens on here. You think you've got a little, look at it blasting out the water. That's much bigger than I thought. That's much bigger than I thought. This went from not really knowing it is hooked to now realising it's quite a big carp, I think. Go on, what we got? Yeah, it's getting heavier. It's got heavier. It's got heavier. Oh yeah, that is not a little one. That is a pucker one. Oh, get in that net. Oi, get over here. Ali Hamidi has just caught his first carp of 2026. That's why I always say, come back to the winter oasis. It's like a good luck charm, it feels like, in OMC world. Like, come here. Last year I caught my first carp of the year here. It was a little common. And now I've done that. Let's hope Zamo goes on to catch the biggest carp in the UK. Let's hope good products come out. Let's hope customers are happy. Let's hope everyone stays healthy. We caught a carp. Oh, it's got to be near dirty 30, that. Looks like a dirty 30 to me. It's going to be close. Right, how big are you then? That's a 30 pounder. 30 pound. 30 pound 8. Look at the scales on that. Unbelievable looking carp. Look at that. The first carp of 2026 is a 30 pounder. 30 pound, 8 ounces. We'll have some of that, a bit of that prior prep the day before, making a mix, but the solid bags, those cured hook baits, the little white topper. A week later, a different lake, but what a result. Always a little confidence booster going into a big year ahead for one more cast. Whee! There we go. The only difference as hook bait is I've just used a slightly larger cured ice cream, little mini white topper. Magic wanded line. Boom! And then solid bag ready to get packed. Let's go again. Let's see if we can catch another one. Yes, spring is in the air. It was cold earlier in the film, and it's amazing what a difference a week can make. Feels quite heavy. Yeah, heavy. Oh, we've got ourselves a common, a dumpy one. I don't think we can say a brace of 30s, but it is another beautiful one to the cured ice cream bottom baits with a little mini pop-up whitey on the top. That is the second carp of 2026. I think we can go home now. Look at, oh, we're away. Oh, we're away. Oh, we're away. There you go. There's me common. Oh, Listen to that, it's carnage, we're gonna have to put it back. It's gone carnage. We've got no net gap, we'll have to put it in a sling. Let's get it. Shows you, didn't it? Same method, a week apart. Never doubt your tactics. We know the bait's awesome. Ian Russell's showing that all over the planet. Oh, yep, carp's good. We've got it covered in the mat. Oh, that's another one. Bosh. Look at that. It's a hat trick. It's a very short couple of hours. That is mayhem. I weren't expecting that. I thought if we nick one, a result. To nick 3, that's perfect. Well, that was utter bedlam. A lovely 20-pounder here, and then to get that shredder right in amongst it, and that is in the net. So let's go and process that. What a little short session. Honestly, we've been here probably getting on for 3 hours now, and a hat trick of fish. Time to get home and actually probably edit the thing. This film, I mean, that you're watching right now. That is madness. It's under 3 hours we've been here. That is a 30, a 20, and a doubler. It is time to get home. And I think this carp wants to go home. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learnt a bit. Until next time.